There are still 2 wooden crosses here at the side of the Trans-Canada Highway west of Winnipeg. One is dressed in Timothy McLean's North American Midway staff uniform and has a pair of his shiny sunglasses attached to it. An inscription scratched on the other reads, "I think of you always, son. Love, Dad." This is where Greyhound Bus 1170 came to a stop 10 years ago after Vince Lee violently and viciously attacked his seatmate. Shocked and traumatized passengers called police. This woman was on the bus.
I thought it was just one of those scary movies. People not doing anything on the side of the road. It felt like no one could do anything to help me or help others to get away from it soon enough.
We can't identify her under child welfare laws. She's lost guardianship of her daughter because social workers say PTSD and mental illness stemming from that bus attack make her an unfit mother.
I'm constantly waking up depressed. How can I wake up and be fine with just being there and not getting the proper help?
Vince Lee was declared not criminally responsible because of a mental illness. Last year, Manitoba's Criminal Code Review Board ruled he's no longer a risk to the public and gave him an absolute discharge. This mental health advocate says Lee is taking his medication and slowly reintegrating into the community.
He has been a model citizen. He lives every day with remorse about what he did, and he knows that. And he knows that it was atrocious, and he will never forgive himself. He says he can't find a way towards that.
But Chris Somerville says the focus today should not be on Vince Lee, it should be on Timothy McLean and all of the other victims of that tragic and violent night. Karen Pauls, CBC News near Portage la Prairie, Manitoba.
Was a calm summer night on Greyhound Bus 1170, which was crossing the Canadian prairies. But what happened next was something no one on board could ever forget. A young man asleep in his seat, a stranger beside him with a knife, and one of the most gruesome and disturbing crimes in Canadian history. This is the story of Vince Lee, later known as Will Baker, and the horrifying Greyhound Bus Beheading. You're watching Verona Investigates. On July 30th, 2008, Greyhound Bus 1170 was en route from Edmonton, Alberta to Winnipeg, Manitoba. Among the passengers was Tim McLean, a 22-year-old carnival worker heading home after a long day. He was friendly, energetic, and well-liked. That evening, he took a seat near the back of the bus and put on his headphones and dozed off. At a rest stop in Brandon, Manitoba, a man named Vince Lee boarded the bus. He was quiet and carrying a few plastic bags and a knife hidden in his clothing. He sat near the front at first, but then about an hour into his ride, he moved to the seat next to Tim. Without warning and without no provocation, Lee pulled out a knife and began stabbing Tim repeatedly. Passengers screamed. The bus driver pulled over. People rushed off the bus in terror. But the horror was just beginning. Lee continued his attack, stabbing over 100 times and decapitating Tim, and then cannibalizing parts of his body. He held up Tim's severed head for the others to see through the bus window. Police arrived quickly, but didn't enter immediately. They watched in shock as Lee paced the aisles, mutilating the body and placing organs in plastic bags. This wasn't just murder, it was something far darker. Vince Lee was a 40-year-old immigrant from China. He came to Canada in 2001, worked various jobs, and had once been employed delivering newspapers. To the outside world, he was quiet but polite. But privately, he had been battling untreated schizophrenia. In the days before the murder, Lee reportedly wandered the streets, sleeping outside a church, and later bought a bus ticket with seamlessly no destination in mind. He told police he believed Tim was a demon and that he had to kill him or risk being destroyed himself. He claimed he heard the voice of God commanding him to act. This wasn't a calculated crime. It was a psychotic break, and the consequences were devastating. In court, Lee was charged with second-degree murder. But after a psychiatric evaluation, he was found not criminally responsible due to severe mental illness. Instead of prison, he was sent to Selrick Mental Health Center, where he began treatment. The public was outraged. Tim McLean's family called for justice, and many Canadians questioned the idea that someone could commit such a brutal crime and avoid prison time entirely. But under Canadian law, someone found not criminally responsible is not guilty in the traditional sense because they were incapable of understanding right from wrong. Over time, Lee responded to treatment. By 2015, he was granted supervised day trips from the hospital. In 2016, he was allowed to live in the community under monitoring. Then, in 2017, he was granted absolute discharge, full freedom with no restrictions. He legally changed his name to Will Baker. To this day, Will Baker lives somewhere in Canada, a free man. No prison sentence, no criminal record. This decision sparked widespread debate. Can someone who beheaded and ate a man ever be safe to re-enter society? Should mental illness excuse such extreme violence? And what about the victim's family, forced to live with the knowledge that their son's killer is free? Tim McLean's death is as tragic as it is senseless. His mother has since become an advocate for changing Canada's NCR laws, arguing for tougher conditions and lifelong supervision. Vince Lee release challenges us to think deeper about justice, mental health, and public safety. Is Canada's legal system too forgiving? Or is it right to prioritize treatment over punishment when psychosis takes control? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more real Canadian crime stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button and follow Verona Investigates. Thanks for watching.